Colorado Springs, the state of Colorado, the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, roughly 2,000 meters above sea level. Late May 2020, late spring, the exact time of year when after a long mountain winter, the rattlesnakes in this part of the country begin to wake up. A local resident named Carissa Schumann in her early 30s decided that morning to go for a short walk. Not into the mountains, just along a familiar trail just outside town. The same trail she walked every single day, sometimes twice. With her was her pet, a small dog named Rizzo, a mix of Chihuahua and Dachshund weighing around 5 kilograms. Not a service dog, not a hunter, just an ordinary house pet, ginger-colored, with thin legs and trusting eyes. Several species of rattlesnake live in Colorado, but the most common one is the western prairie rattlesnake, Crotalus viridis. An adult reaches around a meter in length. Its venom is hemotoxic, it destroys tissue, causes massive internal bleeding, and can kill a grown adult within a few hours without antivenin. According to the Colorado Department of Public Health, the state records around 100 rattlesnake bites every year. Most happen on hiking trails, most happen in spring. That morning, Carissa was walking the trail in sneakers and shorts. No boots, no stick. Rizzo was running a few meters ahead of her, as always. Carissa would later tell reporters from the local station KRDO News in a segment that aired on the 4th of June 2020 that at one point she heard a very specific sound. A dry, dusty rattling, a rattlesnake shaking the segments of its tail in warning. It is a sound every person in Colorado knows. You hear it once and you do not forget it. Carissa froze, and she saw it on the trail directly in front of her, around 1.5 meters away. A coiled rattlesnake, head raised, body compressed like a spring, ready to strike. Carissa instinctively pulled on the leash, but Rizzo did not pull back. The small dog did something that no dog his size, in his right mind, would normally do. He threw himself between his owner and the snake. The snake struck. One lunge, a direct bite to the face, straight on the nose. Carissa would later say in an interview, "If Rizzo had not jumped forward, the snake would have hit me. I was wearing ordinary sneakers. It would have bitten my leg, my calf. I was alone, no car, several kilometers from town. I probably would not have made it back." The rattlesnake disappeared into the grass. Carissa scooped Rizzo into her arms and ran about 1 kilometer back to the car, another 20 minutes by road to the veterinary clinic. By the time they reached Animal Emergency Care of Colorado Springs, Rizzo's face had swollen so badly the dog was almost unrecognizable. His eyes were nearly closed. His breathing was shallow and uneven. The veterinarian gave an immediate diagnosis: severe envenomation. In a dog weighing only 5 kilograms, the body cannot easily handle a dose of venom like that. The odds were about 50-50. Rizzo was given Crofab, the only antivenin certified in the United States at that time for treating bites from American pit vipers. A single vial costs roughly $2,500. Rizzo needed 4 vials, plus IV fluids, painkillers, around-the-clock monitoring. The total bill for his treatment came to about $3,000. Carissa launched a fundraiser on GoFundMe. The money came in within 24 hours. The story was picked up first by local news, then by major national outlets. A small ginger dog who threw himself in front of a strike became a symbol, not of bravery exactly, but of something else. Something that even scientists do not have a clean explanation for. Biologists have spent years studying what makes a dog place itself between its owner and danger. A study published in the journal Learning and Behavior in 2018 by a team of researchers at Arizona State University showed that dogs are capable of recognizing a human stress state through scent and behavioral signals, and that in the majority of cases, they will act in a way that attempts to relieve that state. It is not training. It is not a command. It is a form of interspecies empathy that has been shaped over 30,000 years of dogs and humans living side by side. Rizzo spent a day and a half in the clinic. He survived. A week later, he was running on the same trail again, with the same character, the same trusting eyes. The only difference was a small scar on his nose where the snake had once struck. Carissa never walks that trail without high boots now, and by her own words, every time she puts those boots on, she remembers that morning, and she remembers her small ginger dog who without a moment of hesitation took the strike that had been meant for her. That story happened in 2020 in the mountains of Colorado, but 22 years earlier on the other side of the country, older than western Pennsylvania, in a quiet residential neighborhood with no mountains and no rattlesnakes. Another animal would do something just as impossible, and the species of that animal is the part of the story almost no one believes when they first hear it. August 1998, Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, a small town about an hour northwest of Pittsburgh. A woman named Joanne Altsman, 57 years old at the time, was vacationing at her family's lake house with her husband Jack. Jack had stepped out that morning to go fishing. Joanne stayed behind in the house with the family's two pets, a small American Eskimo dog named Bear and a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig named Lulu. Lulu was not a normal pet, even by the standards of the late 1990s. She had been given to Joanne's daughter as a tiny piglet, supposedly a miniature breed that would stay small. She did not stay small. By 1998, Lulu weighed around 150 pounds, roughly 68 kilograms. She lived in the house, she slept on a dog bed, she wore a collar. She was in every meaningful sense a member of the family. That morning, Joanne began to feel a sharp pain in her chest. She was a heart patient. She had suffered a heart attack 18 months earlier, and she immediately recognized what was happening. She collapsed under the floor of the bedroom. The phone was out of reach. Her husband was gone. The dog Bear did what most dogs do in a panic. He barked, he circled, he stayed close, but he could not open the door. Lulu the pig did something else. Joanne would later describe it in interviews with the Associated Press and with People magazine, both of which covered the story in October of 1998. Lulu walked up to her, looked directly at her, and began to cry. Real tears. Pigs, it turns out, are one of the few non-primate mammals that can produce visible tears under emotional stress, a fact that veterinary ethologists have documented in peer-reviewed studies since the early 2000s. Then Lulu left the room. She squeezed her 68-kilogram body through the dog door, a door designed for a 15-kilogram dog. She scraped her belly badly enough to leave a trail of blood on the concrete outside. She walked through the yard out to the road and laid down in the middle of the street. When a car came, she got up and walked into its path. The driver stopped. Lulu turned and began walking back toward the house, slowly enough, deliberately enough, that the driver, a man whose name was never released in the press, followed her on foot. She led him directly to the door of the lake house, where he heard Joanne calling weakly from inside. He knocked. He called 911. Paramedics arrived within minutes. Joanne was airlifted to a hospital in Pittsburgh, where doctors performed emergency open-heart surgery. The cardiologist later told the family that if help had arrived even 15 minutes later, Joanne would not have survived. Lulu was treated at a local veterinary clinic for the scrapes on her belly. The story exploded. Lulu appeared on Good Morning America. She appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She was awarded the Trooper Award by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the same award normally given to police dogs who save human lives. She was the first pig ever to receive it. Scientists who study pig cognition were not entirely surprised. Domestic pigs have consistently scored on cognitive tests at a level comparable to a 3 or 4-year-old human child. They can recognize themselves in mirrors. They can solve puzzles. They learn their own names. A study published in 2015 in the journal International Journal of Comparative Psychology by researchers Lori Marino and Christina Colvin reviewed decades of pig cognition research and concluded that pigs possess complex emotional lives, including empathy, problem-solving ability, and the capacity to plan future action. Lulu lived for many more years after that morning. She died in 2003 of natural causes at the age of 9. Joanne Altsman lived another 20 plus years and never stopped telling the story. 2 animals, 2 species, 2 states, 22 years apart, a small ginger dog and a 68-kilogram pig. Neither of them was trained for what they did. Neither of them was rewarded in advance for what they did. Both of them, in a moment that lasted only a few seconds, made a decision that saved a human life. Scientists still do not have a clean word for what that is. They call it interspecies empathy. They call it emotional contagion. They call it cross-species attachment. The people who lived through it call it something simpler. They call it love.